territory of the Michi-Segag and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. The community of the municipality of Highlands East respectfully acknowledge that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their integrity for generations to come. Roll call.
As I call your name, please answer here or present. Councillor McKenzie,
Present.
Councillor Lewis,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Royale, Councillor Strong,
Present.
and Mayor Burton.
I'm here. Approval of the agenda.
That the agenda for the proposed amendment to the official plan and comprehensive zoning bylaw pertaining to application 9184384 Canada Inc. for Center Lake at the October 7th, 2025 be approved as circulated.
Have someone move? Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Lewis. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. I just have a few opening remarks this morning. I'd just like to thank everyone for being here today, either in person or virtually through the live streaming meeting. The purpose of today's public meeting is a requirement under the Planning Act. The municipality has received complete applications to amend the municipality's official plan and comprehensive zoning bylaw. This meeting provides an opportunity for municipal staff and the applicant to deliver their prepared presentations, reports, and findings to council regarding these applications, along with comments from the public. No decision, there'll be absolutely no decision, will be made today. The process of the public meeting will further be discussed by the municipal clerk for today's meeting, with the procedure to be followed during the meeting as follows. Municipal planning staff will have the opportunity to address council, first to deliver their presentation and report. The applicant or agent will address council. If council has any questions, they will be directed to staff member or applicant for clarification. Following these addresses, there will have registered, we'll have some people that have registered to speak. They'll be invited to address council, and we'll have up to 5 minutes to ask questions. Individuals will be called upon in order in which the request was received. Prior to addressing council, please state your name for the record. We ask that the speakers respect the allotted available time to build off each other's comments rather than repeat different statements. Council has already heard and communicate in a respectful manner. For members of the public who have provided written submission, they've been included in the agenda for council's consideration. If you have not registered to speak and time permits, you will be provided an opportunity to speak following those that have registered. A member of the public may not address council without permission, interrupt any speaker or action of the members or any person addressing council, behave in a disorderly manner, make any noise or sound that provides disrupted or conduct of the meeting and absolutely no placards, signs, or posters in the room while the meeting is being conducted. If you haven't already muted your cell phones, please do now. We ask that you respect the process so that we can hear from all those many as possible. And I'll now turn the meeting over to our clerk to begin the public meeting.
Yes, good morning. This is a public meeting held pursuant to Section 17 and 34 of the Ontario Planning Act for a proposed official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment for lands located in part of lots 27 to 30, concession 12, parts of lot 27 and 31, and lot 28 to 30, concession 13, and part of lots 26 to 28 and lots 29 to 32, concession 14 in the former geographic township of Cardiff, now in the municipality of Highlands East. Please be advised that council will not be making a decision on these applications at today's meeting. At this time, council does not know when this matter will come back for council direction or a decision. If the clerk's office has your email, the municipality will be able to advise you when this matter will be on the agenda of a future council meeting. For the purpose of today's meeting, I would ask that all presenters to speak through the chair, Mayor Burton, and only the chair. This format of this meeting will proceed in the following manner. It will be stated how notification for this public meeting was provided and stated the list of names of those who have submitted written submissions. The list of members of the public who have registered to address council at today's meeting. The municipality's planning consultant, Chris Jones, will provide an introduction with respect to the purpose of the applications. The applicant's planning consultant, Rita Hayter, will provide an overview of the applications. Members of council will have the opportunity to ask questions. Members of the public who have registered to speak at today's meeting will be given the floor to provide a 5-minute submission. It will be asked of those in attendance who wish to speak to the applications be given the floor to provide a 5-minute submission. There will be closing remarks and opportunity for the municipal planner, the applicant's planner, Councillor Lewis, and council to speak. So the notification of today's meeting was provided to agencies and neighboring landowners as required by Ontario Regulations 54306 and 54506. Notice was also given to members of the public who previously addressed council at a public meeting held on April 27, 2021, with respect to the proposed Crown Land Use Policy Amendment. This meeting notice was advertised in the local newspapers, the Highlander, Bancroft This Week, Bancroft Times, and the Halliburton Echo. At this time, the following agencies or individuals that have submitted written submissions are Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, Ministry of Natural Resources, Crow Valley Conservation Authority, Township of Faraday, Hiawatha First Nation, Crystal Shannon, the Land Between Charity, Leora Turtle Guardians and the Land Between Charity, Dara Beard, Gary Blundell and Victoria Ward, Heather Branham, Brad Cullen, Suzanne DeStefano, Kathy Hutt, Alexandra Jokova, Tracy McLean, Sandy McLennan, Alexandra Dragos Nanu, Jay Nottage, Chris Robertson, Inham Salim, Tim Tanner, Kelly Wallace, Todd Bertram, Joanne Green, Linda Nottage, Welf Bear and Colleen Drewbear, Lynn Bishop, Roy Donley, Cheryl Ellis, Daniel Harrison, Dr. Timothy James, Barbara and Eric Knight, Andrew Martin, Jamie Newman, Ron Parkinson for Cedar Lake Cottagers Association, Tracy Pastick, Mike Thomas for the Potash Lake Conservation Association, Shirina Payne, Royal LePage Frank Real Estate, Amanda Popolo, Crystal Shannon, Dave Morrison, Jennifer Watson, Ken Towell, Tyler Watson, Lisa Comerford for Central Lakes Association of Realtors, Pete Tolleave for Eels Lake Cottagers Association, and Forrest Blair. The following members of the public that have registered to address council at today's meeting: David Reed, Crystal Shannon, Stephanie Sinclair, Alexandra Dagos Nanu, Joanne Green, Michael Thomas, David Morrison, Melanie Ford, Shiera Payne, Ron Parkinson, Taron Jones, Charles McGovern, Tracy Pastick, Rory Donley, Melanie Ford, James Coppins. And at this time, I would now ask the municipal planner, Chris Jones, to provide an overview of the application.
Thanks, Madam Clerk, Mr. Mayor and Council. You can hear me okay?
We can hear you, Chris. Maybe tip your screen a little bit. We just see, there, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, good morning to everybody. And we want to get this meeting public as soon as we can because there's a lot of public that want to speak. And so I have just a very brief introductory slide deck. And the planner for the applicant will follow me with their introductions, and then we will get to the public part of the meeting. So this as the clerk mentioned, this is a statutory public meeting for a proposed official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment. And I'm pretty sure if we just skip to the next slide, everybody is fairly clear on the location of the subject lands. The applicant's overall ownership is very large. It's over 400 hectares, but it is primarily the east side of Center Lake, which is the subject of the development applications, and that's that encompasses about 115 acres. And so the proposal is it's actually a plan of subdivision and a common element condominium, and those are um, really all that means is that common elements are things like the road and the open space blocks and things like that, which would be um, held in common with the landowners within the proposed subdivision. Now, these lands, all lands on Center Lake, about a Crown Reserve and an original shore road allowance, and that's located along the shoreline. And in 2021, following a consultation with respect to it was a Ministry of Natural Resources consultation with respect to what we called a Crown Land Use Policy Amendment for a proposed disposition of that Crown Reserve. And at that time, Highlands East Council resolved not to support the disposition of that Crown Reserve for the purpose of a conveyance to the development holding. Just other background here. Obviously, this is a file with some history. And in 2022, the County of Haliburton, who is the upper tier planning authority, and the County of Haliburton is responsible for the approvals for plans of subdivision condominium, as well as severances or consents. And in 2022, there was a statutory public meeting with respect to that, to the plan of subdivision / condominium. That application remains in a or at least a decision on that application remains in a deferred state. Just in terms of other sort of details and background, the subject lands are also characterized by a municipal unopened road allowance, and the applicant last year did make a request to the municipality to close and convey that road allowance for the purpose of accommodating this development and access to the development, and council resolved at that time not to close and convey the unopened road allowance. But the purpose of today's meeting is to consider an application for an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment. And I'll get back to the purpose of that OPA in a couple of slides. But just in terms of the application that's on the table, there was an original development plan, and I suspect many in attendance today have seen this plan. And the original plan was 13 lots, sort of lake-facing lots, 13 back lots. There is a small island that's associated with the property, where 2 lots are proposed, 4 open space blocks, and a commercial use block, as well as the common element private road. This original proposal, I think the key difference was the original proposal included a block of development land for a proposed resort hotel. And if we just advance to the next slide, what we see in the revised development plan, we scroll up a bit there. Okay, so again, road configuration, nature of the development is generally the same. I think the key change here, of course, is the removal of that block for the resort hotel. So what we now have is 18 lots abutting the Crown Reserve, or lake-facing lots. The 2 lots on the island remain. 13 back lots, and then there's 4 open space blocks in total. The commercial use block fronting on Highway 118 remains, as well as the common element private road. We just scroll forward. Okay, so this Crown Reserve is certainly it's a unique feature, and you don't come across it all that often, but certainly in the case of Center Lake, a Crown Reserve was established historically in relation to mining activity and flooding that happened in occurrence with resource uses. But the nature of that reserve is that it's 200 feet abutting the shoreline, and but part and parcel with that is a 66-foot shore road allowance. And so for those of you with shoreline properties, you're likely familiar that all our lakes in Halliburton were surveyed with a 66-foot original shore road allowance around the circumference of the lake. And many of you have likely acquired that or historically acquired it. It is there is a sort of a policy procedure that the municipality follows to transfer the original shore road allowance. So what we have here is a 200-foot Crown Reserve, of which the shore road is sort of embedded or part of it. And so that the illustration, which I've taken from the applicant subdivision plan, does a pretty good job, again, illustrating or conveying the presence of this Crown Reserve. So what you're seeing is in green is the extent of the Crown Reserve, and then in that red hatch, that would be the original shore road allowance. And so if you sort of look up and down this plan, which has been prepared by a surveyor, you'll see instances where that shore road allowance is submerged, which is not out of the ordinary, particularly on flooded, lakes that have been subject to historic flooding. But yeah, in essence, what we have here is this intervening 200-foot strip where their lands are not submerged in water. At best, you have a 200-foot strip of land, which is in part vested with the province or the Crown, that being the Crown Reserve. And then we have the portion of the shore road allowance, which is vested with the municipality. So the Center Lake is characterized by the presence of essentially this 200-foot strip of what is public land. And let's just carry on. So then the proposed official plan amendment, that the key thing that's being requested by the applicant with this application is the development policies of the Highlands East official plan recognize that first of all, we'll back up. Almost all lakes in the municipality are characterized by this pink area around the lake, and that's a shoreline designation, and that's a designation that in most cases recognizes the historic and current use of the lake, that being primarily recreational dwellings, cottages, and in some cases commercial uses. And so that is the designation that exists here and most of the 50 or 60 lakes in the municipality. Development policy indicates that where lot creation is proposed, that those lots will have a minimum 60-meter frontage on the lake. So that, again, because of the shore road reserve and this intervening strip of public land, it's essentially impossible to have 60 meters of frontage, quote, on the lake. And so in essence, this official plan amendment is essentially requesting an exception or a special policy that would continue to accommodate or allow shoreline development, just in the absence of direct contact or direct ownership to the water's edge. Now, again, I've just done a very rough illustration here, but as I said before, the pink area represents the shoreline designation. What we're showing in that the brown area, that would be, that's intended to illustrate the combined Crown Reserve and Shore Road. And again, the amendment in principle is proposed to essentially recognize a special policy for those lands. The OPA obviously presents opportunity to address or accommodate other things. One of them potentially could be the identification of additional natural heritage features like wetlands or watercourses that have been identified as part of the technical studies accompanying the applications. Next slide is just a quick summary on the zoning bylaw amendment. Zoning, as a general rule, implements official plan policy. It would ultimately provide the legal basis to utilize the lands in the manner that the subdivision is intended to accommodate. More specifically, again, back to the Crown Reserve or Shore Road allowance. The zoning amendment could also identify that intervening strip of land and zone it in a manner that recognizes it as public land, as lands that have in some cases been utilized for passive recreational use. And that's the zoning amendment would also again recognize open space blocks and other associated intended uses with the proposed subdivision. That's my very brief summary. Again, Mr. Mayor, I know we have a lot of people that have taken the time to join us today and want to speak. Council does have my sort of status planning report of September 26th. And that, again, just provides a bit of an update with respect to that. Again, there's been a lot of technical work done, as well as some peer review work that's been undertaken by independent consultants. That was coordinated by the County of Haliburton at the time of the subdivision application. So I just wanted that information to be provided to council, just so that we were sort of current with respect to some of the technical aspects and technical considerations associated with the development. Mr. Mayor, that's my overview. If there's any questions of council of me at this time, fire away. Otherwise, I would suggest we just continue and have the applicant speak to their applications.
Questions? Resolution?
Yes. The council received the report as provided by the municipal planner regarding applicant 9184384 Canada Inc. pertaining to the OPA and ZBA Center Lake. And furthermore, that subsequent to the receipt of public and agency comments attributed to the applications for the proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendment, the council requests the planning department provide analysis and direction on the revised plan of subdivision, as well as the corresponding applications for the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment.
If someone move. Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Lewis. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
At this time, I would ask the planner or representative for the applicant to introduce themselves and any other representatives for their client and to speak to their client's application.
Through the chair, sorry, I couldn't hear what was said.
Oh, sorry. Just introduce yourselves and anyone else that you have there.
Yeah, my name is Riti Hyder, and I'm a planner with Arcadis. With me today, I have Carmen Jandu, who is also a planner with Arcadis, and Signe Leisk, who is a lawyer with Castles, Brock, and Brockwell LLP.
Okay, thank you. If you wish to proceed with your presentation, Riti.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's public meeting. For some of you who have been at previous public meetings for the Granite Shores development proposal, I want to thank you again for coming out. For those who are new to the project, welcome, and thank you for coming out and listening. Prior to starting this presentation, I just wanted to provide a land acknowledgement. Arcadis acknowledges that the properties within the traditional territories covered by the Williams Treaty. We respectfully acknowledge that the Williams Treaty's First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure that their health and integrity for generations to come. The purpose of this meeting is to present the revised plan for the Granite Shores development, which was submitted to the municipality earlier this year. The objective of this meeting is to hear the community's comments and answer any questions you may have. In my presentation today, I'll talk about the surrounding uses, the property itself, the history involving this application, the key revisions that we made to the plan, supporting studies completed, and community benefits proposed as part of the proposal today. I'll also talk about what the next steps are after this public meeting. Next slide, please. This picture shows an outline of the property in white. It is located along Highway 118 between Loop Road to the west and Monk Road to the east. This picture shows the public boat launches in the area, with the red circle showing the existing Central Lake Public Boat Launch, located off of Highway 118. It also shows that the commercial uses are mainly located in Wilberforce, Cardiff, and Potash. Next slide, please. Chris spoke a little bit about the subject lands, but I'll provide some more context. The property itself is located along the northern and eastern sides of Central Lake. This is shown in a red outline on your screen. As Chris stated, it has an approximate area of over 400 hectares. Our client's property does not directly abut Central Lake. Together, the property is separated from Central Lake by a Crown Reserve, which is around 40 meters wide, and a municipal shore road allowance, which is owned by the municipality and is around 20 meters wide. This is shown in orange and yellow on the images on your screen. As Chris said, the Crown Reserve was originally established along the shoreline of Central Lake so that historic mining activities don't encroach onto the lake. The municipal shore road allowance is along the outer limit of the Crown Reserve, and in some cases, it is completely or partially submerged underwater. We know that some areas along Central Lake, the Crown Reserve has been historically used for camping and fishing. There are no existing cottages along Central Lake. Next slide, please. For some of you who were at the earlier public meetings, you probably already know most of this. I'll just provide a little bit more context to the application, just building upon what Chris has presented. The original application was submitted for the development of 28 seasonal cottages, a resort and wellness center with 60 suites, private open spaces, and as well as commercial uses along Highway 118. At that time, the proposal included the Crown Reserve and municipal shore road allowance, which was proposed to be transferred to the property owner so that the lots could have waterfront frontage. Next slide, please. The concerns that we heard at the public meeting held in 2021 were about the loss of public land, the loss of the shoreline and natural environment, the scale of the proposed development, and the appropriate servicing and anticipated health impacts because of the proposed development. Next slide, please. We heard those comments from the previous public meeting, and we revised the proposal to address those comments. This is a conceptual plan. There will be further refinements at the draft plan stage, which will require further detailed reports. A major revision from the original application to the revised plan today is that we removed the wellness center containing 60 suites. We have reduced the scale of the proposed development to up to 33 seasonal cottages. We're saying up to 33 seasonal cottages because there may be adjustments to the proposed lot lines as we go forward in the process. Another key revision is that the Crown Reserve and municipal shore road allowance has not been included as part of the revised plan. The Crown Reserve is not a part of this application, so Crown lands will still be accessible to the public. It will still be able to be used by residents, cottagers, and visitors for canoeing, fishing, and quiet recreation. Because of the Crown Reserve, the proposed cottages are pushed back from the shoreline. That is why an official plan was submitted to allow lots without immediate shoreline frontage. Each cottage lot will have its own individual septic system and well. Private open spaces, or what we call POPs amenity spaces, are proposed within the development to provide public hiking trails and public lake access to Central Lake. Highway commercial is proposed along Highway 118, which may include a country market, restaurant, or convenience retail store. A private condominium road is proposed to give access to the proposed cottage lots. This will not be a municipal road and will be maintained by the condominium corporation. The road has been designed to propose the least amount of impact and address topographical changes and environmental features. Next slide, please. This is a picture of the revised concept plan over an aerial image. The application at hand is only for the proposed lots and road as shown. The remainder of the lands are not subject of this application. It will remain within its existing designation. Next slide, please. Several technical studies were completed. An environmental impact study was completed. The results of the report were that the proposed development was environmentally feasible, provided that mitigation measures were followed. To name a few mitigation measures, minimizing the extent of the forest removal and not allowing development within 30 meters of the wetland. Consultations with First Nations started in 2020, with all First Nations identified by the ministry as having an interest. Correspondence was sent to all applicable First Nations by the ministry. Subsequently, the ministry also had discussions with the Curve Lake First Nations and the Hiawatha First Nations. The applicant entered into a proponent capacity funding agreement with the Curve Lake First Nation, who has been involved in and attended on-site for the environmental impact study process and provided recommendations to the environmental impact study, which was summarized in a memo provided with this submission. An archaeological assessment was also conducted, which concluded that the area is free from pre-contact indigenous archaeological material, and no further assessments are required. Attendance of the Curve Lake First Nation on site for the archaeological assessment was not required. The recommendations provided by the Curve Lake Nation resulted in an addendum to the EIS submitted in 2022, which still concluded that this proposed development is environmentally feasible, provided that the mitigation measures are followed. The hydrogeological and memo was completed. It looked at the preliminary water supply and prepared an impact assessment for the use of individual on-site septic systems. The study concluded that private wells and individual septic systems for the proposed cottage lots would meet the demand of the proposed development. The final design of these systems and the interior condominium room has not been finalized as of yet, but the study does provide guidance on how much separation distance there needs to be. It also concluded that the uranium concentrations met water quality criteria. An economic benefits brief was prepared. It concluded that the proposed development has potential to create jobs during and after construction, such as property maintenance, retail commercial, management, and marketing. Planning justification reports were prepared to provide a discussion on the applicable provincial and local planning documents. I will discuss these conclusions at the end of my presentation. The preliminary stormwater management report was completed, which concluded that the bedrock and the proximity to Central Lake, so stormwater quality control was not proposed. They provided other low-impact development stormwater management strategies. A terrain analysis was completed. It concluded that although individual lots would be regraded, these areas make up a small portion of the overall property, so the overall terrain of the whole property is not strongly impacted. A lake capacity assessment was completed to look at the proposed development's effects on Central Lake. It concluded that the proposed development is supportable from a biophysical perspective. Comments from the MNRF were received, and they stated that the lake has enough capacity for the proposed development. A traffic brief concluded that the proposed sightlines at the condominium road are acceptable. With the proposed recommendations, there are no significant impacts to traffic along Highway 118. Each of the supporting studies identified that there are no adverse impacts. Next slide, please. To reiterate, Central Lake will continue to be used as it is today, whether it be for boating, fishing, kayaking, or paddleboarding. That will not change. The revised proposal will bring several benefits to the community. To name a few, there will be an additional and more safer public boat launch to Central Lake. This would be maintained by the Condo Corporation. Because the Crown Reserve is not a part of this application, the Crown Reserve will remain as it is along the eastern side of Central Lake. It can continue to be used for camping and fishing. Visitors accessing Central Lake will have an increased convenience to propose commercial uses along Highway 118. Next slide, please. Here you can see pictures of the existing Central Lake public boat launch located along Highway 118. In the picture on the right, you can see that it's heavily eroded, making it quite difficult for trucks and boats to access the launch. In the picture on the bottom, you can see that it's not well maintained. There are several garbage bags littered around the launch. The revised proposal will create an additional public boat launch to Central Lake. This will be safer, more accessible, and well maintained by the condo corporation. Next slide, please. As I talked about before, the proposal does not include the Crown Reserve. So the Crown Reserve will remain as it is today. Visitors can still use the eastern side of Central Lake and the campsites that are located along the shoreline. The proposed cottages are physically pushed back from the shoreline and existing campsites, as you can see in the image below this text. With that, the elevations of the land mean that in most cases, visitors would not be able to see the cottages from the Crown Reserve campsites. As you can see in the image on the right-hand side, there is a significant elevation change and tree cover. So the proposed cottages, which would have a maximum height of 10 meters, would be below the existing tree line. These cottages would be naturally screened from the Crown Reserve so that campers can still have their privacy. Next slide, please. That brings me to the end of my presentation. In conclusion, it is our opinion that the revised proposal conforms to the relevant planning policy documents. It supports tourism while protecting significantly natural features on the property. It conforms to the County of Haliburton official plan and meets the intent of the Township of Highlands East official plan, where it is designated mostly rural, shoreline, and environmental protection. The development will ensure that the natural state of the shoreline is maintained to the greatest extent possible in order to preserve the lake through mitigation measures. It will provide several benefits to the community, such as providing an additional and safe, well-maintained public boat launch. There are no adverse impacts as demonstrated by the supporting studies submitted. In terms of next steps, we have just received comments from some of the commenting agencies, and we're currently reviewing all of the comments. The comments collected during this meeting will be provided to staff. We've also received requests from community members to meet and discuss their concerns. We have responded and advised that we are happy to meet and discuss. As we work through comments received, a future recommendation report will be presented at a future council meeting. Thank you so much for your time. We are now available to answer any questions you may have.
Council questions, Council McKenzie.
Good morning. It's my understanding that all trees on that property were reserved to the Crown when the reserves were established in 1956. What's the status of that ownership of those trees at this time?
Through the chair, I'm not sure about that question. I'll take it back to our team and get back to you on that. Just taking some notes right now.
Other questions? Councillor Lewis?
So I'm just looking at the boat launch there where it states that they would take, are you looking for ownership of that boat launch?
Through the chair, we're not, sorry.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, we're not proposing ownership of the existing public boat launch. We are proposing another boat launch on the property itself. Carmen, if you would like to speak about it a little bit more.
I'm good. Just clarifying that.
Deputy Mayor Rao?
When you're talking about the overall setback from the lake itself, when we're looking at 200 feet going back, typically we have 66 feet. And the way it works out, people who own the property adjacent to that 66 feet, provided they don't do any damage, can actually use and access the lake. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we've got right now. This is one of the biggest objections that we had. So in your proposal, there's a 200-foot setback that would be there. Is there going to be any way to restrict the access from those cottages to the lake directly, or will they be able to put trails and put boats in?
I'll defer this question to Carmen.
Yes, you, Mayor Burton. The application right now is for the lots to be adjacent to Crown lands. The Crown lands are open right now for public use, and that would include cottagers. Now they can provide for trails that would be very minimized tree removal. I think it was recommended in the EIS. But with respect to docks, the shoreline, the shore road allowance at 66 feet isn't in their ownership. The Crown Reserve is also not a part of the ownership. There are no docks being proposed as a part of this application. So they will have to go through the municipality if they propose anything like that. And especially, and also with the ministry because of the Crown Reserve.
Other questions? Please.
Just to follow up to that same question, my concern is as time passes, scope creep has a tendency to expand. And because it's Crown land, the municipality has absolutely no jurisdiction there. It is monitored by and controlled by the MNRF, not by the municipality of Highlands East. So when it comes to enforcement, if someone were to decide to go deeper into that 200 feet with development, how are we going to ensure that that gets restricted, if not stopped altogether?
Through you, Mayor Burton, to the councillor. Yes, the objective of the cottage lots is that tree removals within the boundary of the lot is only to accommodate for the septic system, the cottage lot, and any other little accessory building that they need in the driveway. So it's very limited in the tree removal, and that's detailed in the EIS as one of the key objectives of the development in order to maintain the tree coverage. That I would anticipate there would be a site plan that would identify that, and we would work through the site plan approval process in order for the cottages to be placed on. Now, when I would have to defer to perhaps Mr. Jones with respect to enforcement for Crown reserves, but with our work to date, working with Curve Lake Nation, they provided their responses for the Crown Land Reserve and their continued stewardship and monitoring for that reserve as well. So through our work with them, we've identified that there would be very limited alteration of that to maintain that, and they would be a part of the stewardship for those lands.
Other questions, Council? Resolution?
The council received the presentation submitted by Arcadis Group, delivered by planner Riti Hayter on behalf of the applicant 918-4384 Canada Inc. at this October 7th, 2025 special meeting.
Could have someone move? Councillor McKenzie, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Delegations.
I will now invite members of the public who have registered to address the applications. As I call your name, you will be brought into the meeting and will be given 5 minutes to provide comments. Anyone that is in person will speak after those registered virtual. Please note that the municipal planner and applicants' representatives will have an opportunity to address any questions at the closing remarks section of the meeting. At this time, I would ask Mr. David Reed.
Good morning, Councillor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. My name is David Reed, and my wife and I own property in Highlands East near Cardiff. There were concerns raised by the municipality, Haliburton County, and the public in 2022 for the original Granite Shores development. Unfortunately, concerns still remain. The application is likely only the first phase of further development applications given the size of the rest of the property owned by the developer. Highlands East and the county will want to assess the importance of the lake to its residents and other users and how to maintain public access when reviewing the application. Councillors will be aware that coupling this development application, the other proposed cottage lots development on the other side of Center Lake and their private roads will potentially lead to gated communities on both sides of the lake. The Planning Justification Addendum report draws heavily on the provincial policy statement for its acceptability from a planning perspective. The PPS promotes sustainable development and the responsible use of public lands in the evaluation of its potential use against environmental goals and community interests in particular. The introduction in the PPS says that its policies represent minimum standards, and within the framework of the provincial policy planning system, planning authorities and decision makers may go beyond these minimum standards to address matters of importance to a specific community, unless doing so would conflict with any policy of the provincial planning statement. Councillors will have a range of options to protect the municipality's interests. The development's request to purchase the Shoreline Crown Reserve has been paused, but there is no proposed physical separation of the cottage lots from the reserve. As Councillor has just mentioned, over time it's inevitable that the private residences will add will start to add smaller, larger structures to the reserve lands, and the public will start to cross onto private land from the reserve. These likely conflicts could be mitigated now by requiring fencing between the provided lots and the public reserve. Gates could be allowed in each fence for the particular private landowners to access the shoreline, similar to fencing seen for houses in the back onto the public ravines and parks in Ontario cities and towns. A better long-term solution to ensure the shoreline reserve remains for the public access to the lake is for the county, municipality, or First Nations alone or in partnership to assume its ownership from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. Access to the development, the proposed public trails, and the interior roads are all proposed as private ownership. There is no public parkland, only cash in lieu. Private roads don't need to meet municipal road standards, and this raises excess concerns for the development becoming a gated community and year-round emergency services access challenges for fire trucks or ambulances. This issue could be resolved by requiring the roads to be built to municipal standards and turned over to the municipality and the trails to be public parkland. If the development is to be seasonal access, why is there no mention of a gate to provide to stop winter access? The development application references a marina and highway commercial development. One way to ensure the lake continues to be quietly enjoyed primarily by canoeists, kayakers, and small boat fishermen would be to limit the type of watercraft allowed. For example, fossil fuel motors restricted to 5 horsepower or less, while allowing electric power craft up to a set power range. For the previous application, there were concerns and questions about the projected economic viability of the commercial and commercial financial benefits of the maple syrup farm, marina, and highway commercial development. Analysis by another maple syrup bush operation outside of the county determined that the financial returns from the maple syrup farm aren't realistic, and this unfortunately reduces the credibility of the whole application. In summary, options for Highlands East and the county to work together to mitigate impacts of the development proposal include ensuring continued access to the lake by requiring roads to be built to municipal standards and to be public roads, requiring the proposed trails and access points between cottage lots and the parkland and to be public parkland instead of providing cash in lieu, removing the potential overlap of the public and private interest by separating the 200-foot Crown Reserve from the private lots by requiring fencing while still allowing lots to have gates in the fencing to access the reserve lands, requiring a permanent condo corporation to manage the common elements like waste disposal, recycling, and road maintenance instead of the proposed voluntary residents association. Consider working with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forests to limit the use of high horsepower watercraft on the lake and to look at acquiring ownership of the management of the Crown Reserve from MNRF. And lastly, conducting an independent assessment of the financial viability of the proposed highway development and maple syrup farm. Those are my comments. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. At this time, I will now ask Alexandru Dagos Nanu. We will move on and we will, oh, here he comes.
Hello, you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, my name is Alexandru Nanu. I am the owner of a property near Cardiff, retired chemical engineer. The proposed development is located in the vicinity of Ogre Lake, which is part of an uranium mine tailings shore storage facility. It is an artificial lake which holds millions of tons of tailings. The lake continuously releases radon gas resulting from the radionuclide decay. The release increasing when the ice melts and during heavy rains. Despite the Auger Lake status, the official zoning documents of Haliburton County and Highlands East show the land around Auger Lake as shoreline and do not flag the lake itself as hazard. Granite Shores environmental and hydrological studies omitted to mention the mine tailing storage facility or to consider the land south of the property. Imagine that you spend a fortune on one of the lots just to find out later that you might be exposed to radon. Some people will accept and some not. And if such, the litigation against the municipality, against the county, and against the Granite Shores will ensue. The county and the municipality are exposed, first for not identifying the Auger Lake as a hazard, and secondly for approving the development despite being aware of the issue. Granite Shores is exposed, first for incomplete studies south of the property, and secondly for not conveying the information about the Auger Lake to the buyers. Granite Shores is aware that the real nature of Auger Lake from 2022 when I forwarded my comments to the council. The legal action will result in claims being paid, reduction of municipal services, increased taxes, plummeting property values, and losing the good name that the municipality spent years and years to build. This is why I forwarded my comments and recommendation to the council with the hope to help mitigating the issues. The radon gas and resulting radionuclides decay in days to weeks. In the winter, though, when the ice caps the lakes, the amount of radon in the water increasing substantially. When the ice melts, the radon escapes, somewhat like the gas escaping a sparkling water bottle. It is compounded by the effect of the surplus water overflowing over the spillways down the rough slope and over big boulders. At this time, an intense aeration occurs, much like agitating the sparkling water, resulting in the release of tons and tons of radon gas in the atmosphere during a few weeks. As a consequence, the plumes of radon gas, where the environmental concentration rises above any, and I am underlining any, acceptable limits, extends, reaching more than 1 kilometer. Anytime the lake overflows, like in heavy rains, the release repeats, although in lesser quantities. With the distance, the hazard diminishes up to disparition. However, the proximity to the lake presents a high risk for the people, increasing with the time spent in the area. Please note that this lake and its immediate surroundings cannot be used for residential or recreational purposes. It's about the Auger Lake. An environmental study shall be carried out to measure the radon level above the water, downwind around the lake, at different depths in the lake, and during overflows along the drainage path. Where affected by the plumes, the concentration of lead on land and trees should be measured as well. The hydrological and drainage studies should be revised. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council. If you have any question.
Thank you, Mr. Nanu. At this time, I will call upon Mr. Michael Thomas.
Hello. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
But you can't see me, I guess. I have it on, but maybe some people prefer not to see me. Excuse me, okay, I'll begin regardless. My name is Mike Thomas, past president of the Potash Lake Conservation Association. Through the chair to council, we're pleased to provide our initial response to the updated Center Lake development application. As you're aware, we commented in 2021-22 on the previous applications. While the new application is modified, we continue to have concerns about the future implications of the development as well as its current impact. To that end, we have submitted our 8-page report along with the 2022 reports for the public record. The Potash Lake Conservation Association was formed in 1973. It was the first association in the Crow Valley watershed to undertake the development of a lake management plan. We represent cottage owners and permanent residents on Potash Lake. Center Lake drains into Inlet Bay and Potash Lake, which is why we have such an interest in this project. Our members have a strong interest in maintaining the water quality of our lake and in any activity that might influence the lake's waters. Some of our main issues are, and I won't repeat some comments were already made, but I'll reinforce and support them. 1, moving public access to Center Lake towards privately owned lake access in a private lake. While the current Granite Shores application has paused the Crown Reserve ownership request, nothing in the application would prevent it from reapplying to own it. That's a concern. Highlands East will be aware, as mentioned by a previous public comment, that the Highland View Properties has also applied in the past to purchase the Crown Reserve lands and develop 35 to 40 large cottage lots along most of the west side of the main basin. Together, the two developments would largely control access to the lake. We believe the Highlands View proposal is awaiting the Granite Shores decision before applying for its planning approval. 2, as mentioned earlier, overstated economic benefits lead us to have uncertainty over the development's intentions. The Maple Farm operation, although it's not included as part of this proposed condominium development, did state in the earlier applications it would provide 1.5 to 2 million of revenue. As stated earlier, PLCA as well contacted another producer and said that seems to be overstated. The point is not whether the plans for Maple Syrup Farm are realistic or not, but more that the apparently incorrect number reduces the credibility of the whole application in our view, when the projected future economic opportunity appears to be significantly less than stated. The current application contemplates a highway commercial block, which includes lumberyard, nursery or greenhouse, flea market, marina, recreational vehicle sales, motel, hotel, vehicle dealership, repair garage, real estate office, convenience store, restaurant, service shop. It seems unlikely that a significant number of travelers will stop at Center Lake in preference to going to Halliburton or Bancroft, 20 minutes away from Center Lake, for much in the way of the range of potential businesses and economic value suggested here. And again, it's not whether the plans can be approved, but more that their outcomes are likely to be less for the developer and thus economically for the municipality than are inferred in the new application. The assumptions made reduce the credibility of the new application. 3, type of ownership, seasonal use of the cottages is unclear. The development is proposed as seasonal cottage development. We expect the cottages to be used year-round and would be better evaluated that way for things like winter emergency vehicle access, road design. The conversion of cottages to year-round residences for year-round reuse is a growing housing trend, as we all know, in Halliburton County. These places will be costing for sure in the $750,000 plus range. Seasonal use is questionable. 4, as a previous speaker talked about, radon, Potash Lake, and what we're going to refer to the use of the precautionary principle. In reviewing the application for the potential impact of the nearby past uranium mining, PLC adopted the use of the widely accepted precautionary principle. The states where there's scientific uncertainty about potential harm it requires advocating for precautionary measures to protect public health and the environment. The burden of proof should fall on those proposing the action rather than those concerned about the action. Potential harm includes increased radon exposure and downstream contamination from disturbed mine tailings, as discussed. Although uranium tailings are known to be present, the precise impact of development on sediment mobilization and radon release remains unassessed. Once disturbed, radioactive sediments are difficult to remediate, and contamination could last for decades. Since Center Lake connects directly to Potash Lake, it is on former uranium mines. There is risk to public health from potential radon exposure for residents of new and old cottages, risk to the ecosystem through downstream transport of radioactive sediments and heavy metals into Potash Lake's Inlet Bay, and the possible future loss of the protective buffer by de facto removing the 200-foot Crown Reserve. The liability potential for Halliburton Highlands East was mentioned earlier, and we agree with that. If the activity increases on Center Lake, resulting in more access to the dam at the southern end of Auger Lake, municipality and council may wish to consider any liability issues from a hazardous site in the close proximity. For the rest of our concerns and mitigation proposals, please consult the reports we submitted earlier to council and for the public record. Thank you for the opportunity here.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. At this time, I will call on Mr. David Morrison.
Hello. Good
Hello,
morning.
Mr. Morrison.
Hi there. You can hear me now? That's good. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. A lot of the items I had down have been covered off by people speaking before me. But I would like to just mention that about 6 or 7 years ago, there was also a development that was in the works over on Inlet Bay, the old trailer park. And that development was going to be a condominium usage, and it was proposed as that. And back then, council, the city, the township, Crow Valley Association deemed that it was probably not in the best interest of Potash Lake. So basically, what I'm saying is, like, this is pretty much the same kind of development that's being proposed, but it's only 3 or 4 kilometers upstream from the bay and from Potash Lake, as mentioned by previous people. So those are the concerns. I'd like to just follow up with everybody that has talked so far, just to mention that Potash Lake is a big part of where that water runs into, and it could definitely really interrupt the way the ecosystem is on the lake itself, as previously mentioned. So the other items, one thing I found on that plan that I found funny, especially now that I've heard that it's septic systems being put in, not a proper sewage system, is the island lots. If you put a septic system on an island, how are you to drain that? How are you to deal with that? So those ones for sure should be removed from any kind of plans. If this was to be approved at any time. And I guess the other big one, which was mentioned already, is the shoreline and the reserve by the township, municipal, and basically the federal crown land. Is there any chance that could be sold down the road, and then people on those lots would have direct access to the lake itself? And of course, as already mentioned, there would be docks built and boats being put on the shoreline. And once there's lots there, people are going to just assume that land is theirs. They're going to be going down there and using that lake. And the people that would normally go in and camp there, probably are not going to entertain that idea, because the people that own the lots are going to be making sure that they don't just pitch tents and start camping there. So that's basically the other item I did have is the lots are clear, but how many buildings are there per lot, and what is the estimated amount of population that would be on these lots? Has anybody asked those questions, and will the developing people be able to answer those questions at some point?
David, those questions will be asked.
Okay. Other than that, I as I said, I think most of the other questions I had were answered or brought up to the attention of everyone involved. So I will cut off at that point and let the next speaker join in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. So we will move on to Mr. Ron Parkinson. Okay, we don't have Mr. Parkinson currently, so we will move on to Taryn Jones.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. And may I ask who we have on? Oh, Taryn. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
My name's through the chair. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak today. My name's Theron Jones. I'm representing several cottage owners, property owners on Monk Lake. And as everybody else, as you get later in the list, we support the comments that have been made so far. So we don't want to rehash much of that. I do want to speak just a bit to the aspect of this 200-foot setback issue, because my primary residence is in London, Ontario. And if you read the papers on occasion from London, you'll learn that the city is actually dealing with this exact same issue of encroachment onto properties that are owned by the city, but residential owners adopt them because they're onto green space, things like that. So there was just most recently in the city working on access mobility programs where we're putting in pathways and park areas. However, in one case, a pathway would cut across what people have now created as yards for over 70 homes. So I think it's naive really for all of us to think that people are just going to make a little path down to the lake and nothing more is going to happen with it. At the end of the day, the issue for me and for us on Monk Lake is we oppose the shoreline development, and the ability to control this 200-foot setback is something we just simply, all of us, can't ignore. It's a genuine issue, and it doesn't have an ability to be policed. And so barring the Potash Lake Conservation Association's proposal of fencing it or something like that, I'm not sure how any control can be put in place that will reasonably limit the owners of those properties adopting that area. I think the other thing that concerns me is just really as the trend of property development in many lakes is starting to shift. Although this is, identified as a condo development, more often than not, things are becoming fractional ownership and becoming a investment opportunity. And so in the case of this development, the issue I take and the concerns of many cottagers on Monk Lake is fractional ownership turns into rental ownership. So essentially, we haven't got owner-occupied properties. We in fact have a high turnover of renters that are not necessarily stewards of the area. When you listen to many of the people, both full-time residents and seasonal residents speaking today, we respect that area, we respect that environment, and we are not opposed to change, but we want controlled change and we want reasonable steps to preserve the environment and ensure that the ongoing use of the area can be enjoyed by many. And so a condo development of this nature, without it being fully defined, becomes very unknown as to who ultimately will end up owning it and what the intensity of use will be. And finally, on Highway 118, the access points, all of us obviously are familiar with that stretch of road. The idea of creating any kind of commercial high traffic use in that area would clearly be a safety concern, and we would like to see further study done on that. And finally, again, we echo and support the Potash Lake Conservation Association's comments and concerns, and particularly the environmental concerns that have been raised today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. At this time, we will ask Mr. Ron Parkinson to speak.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good morning, Mayor, Council, staff, and meeting attendees. My name is Ron Parkinson. My family have been on the Cedar Lake in Highlands East for over 45 years. I'm president of Cedar Lake Cottagers Association and have been connected with many lake associations, excuse me, and environmental groups over the past 10 or 12 years. I'd like to say that most lake associations' biggest concerns have been trying to protect our environment, which also links to both our investments and Highlands East economics. Whether it's our water quality, fish, turtles, wildlife, and now the growing number of invasive species, this requires a lot of effort from lake property owners. Development can be good if it doesn't impact the environment. Water property owners and our Highlands East councilors are here to consider this one development. However, we need to be conscious of the bigger picture since there is also a second proposed development on the West Shore waiting for approval so they can come forward. Question is there an updated nonpartisan environmental study to review that? Everyone needs to protect the ribbon of life which covers our shoreline and shoreland and is critical as wildlife faces increasing threats from climate change and habitat loss. It is also essential to the health and sustainable use of waterfront properties. Environmental protection is number one topic of concern, and it would be best if motor vehicles, motorboats were restricted on Center Lake, which create wakes. It's been fine having kayaks, canoes, and paddleboards. This also could stir up potential uranium residue. Another question is in addition to infrastructure is required. The municipal compliant road length widths for emergency vehicles, waste and tree management. Who pays for this? Finally, public safety must be addressed since there's commercial also being proposed. Where is the study for the Highway 118? In closing, Cedar Lake Cottagers Association with 26 property owners who are seasonal and permanent taxpayers of Highlands East support the report submitted by the Potash Lake Conservation Association and we request that our council vote no to the 918-4384 Canada Inc. Granite Shores application for official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, and the draft plan of vacant condominium. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. At this time, we will go to our registered individuals that are in person that would like to speak, and we will start with Miss Tracy Pastick. If you would like to come to the podium, please. It's already on? Okay. Good morning, councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you for everyone for being here. I've been a lifelong resident of Potash Lake, well, cottager, I should say, for over 60 years, but I'm that age. But anyway, my questions basically, they echo everything that's been said here. I really respect what Mike Thomas said, what Mr. Reed has said, and a lot of the speakers about the environmental impacts. I totally agree that this is environmentally protected land. We need to protect it. As a resident in North Bay, a lot of the rivers actually run right into, from Center Lake, run right into North Bay through the beach area, through the boat launch, back through the mountain area where Blueberry Hill is, through Auger Lake, through all that area. So it's a big concern for me, for mine tailings, that kind of thing. My questions, I looked for the environmental studies that were listed on Granite Shores on the website. I couldn't find them. Safari wouldn't open it. And my EP address, I just couldn't do it. And I thought, okay, why is that not available? My other question is public access that the condo group is allowing. That's fine, but is there going to be a pay for use? Because if they're managing it, does that mean that they want to pay for the management of that area? And then the other thing I noticed in the presentation by the condo group that the buildings were up to 10 meters high. I don't understand that. That's pretty high. So I just have a lot of questions about this whole thing. I echo what Mike Thomas said about a lot of things not making sense, and justification just doesn't make sense to me. That's all I want to say. So thank you very much. Thank you, Tracy. Next, we will call on Rory Donley.
Hi there. Seems like a lot of the points have kind of been covered here already. I spent last night at the lake, spending a great deal of time looking over at the potential lots that may end up being there. I find some of the wording a bit confusing as far as I might be wrong looking at the older stuff, but as far as marine facility, my worry is that if this goes through as is, like others have said, that there's nothing stopping anyone from pursuing the lands. And, I generally camp on the island right in the middle of the lake. And for there to be like 4 docks right on the other side of that spot, certainly going to change quite a bit. There's wildlife wise, I feel like there's going to be a huge impact here. Personally, I've never seen a bear anywhere other than on Center Lake. I've seen several over the years. I've been forced to leave my site over that. I actually ran into a wildcat at one point, which I am 100% sure was not a house cat. And that was in between what would be lots 4 and 5 on the Crown Reserve there. So I just wanted to basically come here in case anyone wasn't covering these points. But it looks like just about everything's been covered here. So I really hope that the municipality stays on the side of caution here, because there's a lot to lose, because there's nothing comparable to that lake currently. Silent Lake is a great spot to camp, but for people that want to get, a little more into the nature of it, this is one of very few options without committing to going much further and being, up in Algonquin. So Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we will hear from Melanie Ford.
Hello, and thank you for having this meeting today and taking the time for this important piece of land. I appreciate it. My name is Melanie Ford. My uncle Bruce McCutcheon built a family cottage on Potash Lake in 1947, and I grew up spending all of my summers there. My husband and I just bought a 4-season cottage on Potash, 2 doors down from my uncle's cottage, and we moved in just before COVID. It's been a real blessing. We spend most of our time there now. One of my earliest memories was when my father took my mom and I canoeing on Center Lake to show us an island he'd camped on as a Boy Scout. Although I can't remember the particulars now, I remember marveling at such a priceless gem of a lake that was so very easily accessible, just off the side of the highway. It was unlike Toronto, where you had to pay for everything, the museum, the science center, even the ferry to Center Island. But here you could just put your canoe in and explore. And that's when I learned about the joy of crown lands, places that were owned by the people, for the people. Center Lake is beautiful. It has sloping rocks that are perfect for pulling a canoe out onto, white pines, driftwood stumps that are perfect background for photographs, water lilies, purple pickerel weeds. And it's unmotorized. If you see anything, it'll be a little fishing boat. No jet skis, no tubing. It's just like Algonquin Provincial Park, but you don't have to register in January to get a place to camp there. And you can visit right now when the leaves are peaking without finding out that, for instance, Algonquin's day passes are all sold out and you're out of luck. You can just drive down there. And having such a jewel of a lake accessible to anyone is a gift. You made that land acknowledgement at the beginning of this meeting. That's what a land acknowledgement is about, a land that everyone can share and visit. Now, I benefit from one of the cottage lakes and I love it. But I don't see that we have any shortage of cottage lakes. There are properties for sale already. Why do we need another one? And why does it need developing? No one needs this area and this lake developed except the corporation. And they've adhered to your decisions before. They've said, okay, we won't ask for the road allowance, we won't ask for the crown land. But let's be realistic. When you go on the 401 or the GO train and you see people's properties abutting onto public land, what do you see? Gates, gardens, people extend, it becomes their land. It's going to do the same thing here. If I've paid a lot of money to build my cottage on this land, and there's a lake over there, I'm going to make a pathway down to it. My boat's going to sit there. Eventually, it's going to be mine. And then stepping back as a person of the public canoeing on that lake, I'm going to say, oh, there's something there. Someone owns that land. I'm Canadian. I'm polite. I'm not going to disturb them. And eventually, there's going to be nowhere there where I can camp. They may have a private boat launch. Am I going to go down a road I don't know onto someone else's property to use a boat launch? Probably not. But am I going to drive off the side of the road where I can see that beautiful lake and I can see a public boat launch, even if I have to go up and down those horrible furrows? Yeah, that I'm going to do. So basically, what I would like to say is, please, keep it as crown land, keep it as something we all share. And if you do anything, please put a couple of loads of gravel in those erosion ruts. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. At this time, I will ask Charles McGovern to come to the podium. Okay, thank you so much, Tracy. At this time, I will ask James Coppins to come to the podium.
Good day, and thanks for having this meeting for the community. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to echo the sentiments a little bit of the last speaker. I just wanted to speak as a member of the community who showed up here in 1988 and uses all these. I go on to Deer Lake, we go on to Center Lake, we use the north end of Potash Lake. And many more hidden spots to launch canoes and hike and really enjoy this magical place of Highlands East. And we've been on Center Lake a lot. Often it's our first canoe of the year. It's often been our first swim of the year. I've met many people on the landings from all over Ontario that seem to be aware of it and stop by, and some of them camp. If you canoe out there in the summer, there's campers treating the land, very respectfully. It's very quiet. It's very beautiful. And I can't think of another Crown Lake that's accessible on such a main road in Highlands East. Somebody could correct me or hit me to it if there's another one. But it's a gem and it's a treasure and it's something we should all be proud of. And I think that we'd be doing ourselves a big disfavor by turning it into development. And that's really my concern. I'm a member of the community that wakes up every 15 years when they want to put in uranium mines or want to light explosives up in the edge of Algonquin Park. And this is one of those issues that is, I came out of my 10-year slumber to think, oh my God, they're not going to develop Center Lake. And I must say, when this whole thing started and I watched the presentation, the first thing that came up was a pristine picture of Center Lake on the board. And my stomach kind of fell out. I went, we're going to develop that? So I would just like to say that I think that the whole project is ill-conceived. And if we were smart, we would preserve this lake. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coppins. I'm just going to ask, is there a Stephanie Sinclair in attendance? No? Okay. We will now call on Miss Crystal Shannon. Please take the podium.
Good morning, Mayor Burton, and through you, good morning, members of council. The legal test before you today that allows for amendments to an official plan and zoning bylaw are entirely discretionary. However, under Ontario's Planning Act, the burden of proof rests entirely on the applicant to demonstrate that their proposal meets specific criteria. The applicant must prove that the amendments are consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms to the intent of both the County of Haliburton and Municipality of Highlands East official plans. I'm trying to talk fast. Represents good planning and is in the public interest and complies with the purpose and intent of the Planning Act and other relevant laws. If these conditions are not satisfied, Council has both the authority and the statutory obligation to refuse the application. Turning to the local planning framework, the Highlands East official plan provides that density above the 1 unit per 4 hectare rule for small lakes may be permitted only where a boating impact study is prepared and where council is satisfied that the proposed development will not cause the recreational carrying capacity of the lake to be exceeded in an unreasonable manner. In this case, the developer is proposing 33 units on approximately 130 hectares of their 444 hectares, a density beyond that guideline, and intends to use Crown Reserve access for interior backlots to the lake. That means a boating impact study is mandatory, yet none has been completed or filed without it. The application fails the complete application test. Technical records remain incomplete across every discipline. Your planner, Chris Jones, summarized a number of serious and unresolved deficiencies in the agenda, which I too found myself. To begin with, the hydrological study is inadequate. The stormwater management report predates the current layout and lacks any quantitative modeling for runoff, phosphorus, and climate adaptation loading. Similarly, the natural heritage assessment are limited in scope. There is no confirmed mapping of the Blandings turtles, nesting area, bat roosting sites, or fish spawning zones. Updated wetland delineation, amphibian studies, and wildlife corridor mapping remain outstanding. In addition, the traffic impact brief reveals the safe sightlines cannot be achieved. Not to mention the data used was pre-COVID, when Halliburton saw afterwards the greatest growth, 13.9%, double the provincial average.
Excuse me, Ms. Shannon, can you move your mic down closer so people can hear you? Thank
Better?
you.
Taken together, these gaps mean that every major technical discipline remains incomplete. Council is effectively being asked to amend its official plan based on an unfinished and outdated technical record. Moving to the broader environmental social impacts, the 2020 environmental impact study confirmed the presence of blanding turtles and black ash, both protected species. Equally significant are the unresolved Indigenous consultation issues. I submit meaningful consultation has failed because recommendations from Curve Lake First Nation, included expanded wetland buffers and a knowledge-based cultural study, which has not been implemented at all and rejected entirely. In substance, this is a private residential subdivision, not resource-based recreational use. Approving this amendment would set a dangerous precedent, opening a door for backlot intensification that privatizes public crown reserves and erodes longstanding planning protections. Under Section 3.5 of the Planning Act, Council's decision must be consistent with the provincial planning statement and conform to the official plan intent. On this record alone, that test cannot be met. Refusing, or at the very least deferring this application, is not opposition to the growth. It is responsible planning. It upholds the same principles this municipality is bound to follow: complete information, policy conformity, environmental protection, and safeguarding of the public interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. At this time, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address council regarding these applications? If so, I would ask that you move to the front, close to the podium, and state your name, please.
I'm a resident of Potash Lake.
Could you just speak up a little bit? Sorry.
Oh.
And may I have your name?
Diane Fitzpatrick.
Thank
I'm a
you.
registered realtor in the area, worked in this area for 20 years in Halliburton and Hastings County. Live on Potash, and when I sell real estate, I look up all the details regarding the properties. This one is environmentally protected. I would like an explanation why it is being developed. It's pretty simple. Does EP mean nothing anymore?
Ms. Fitzpatrick, at the closing remarks, there will be an opportunity for the municipal planner and also the client's planner to respond.
Right.
Okay?
Right. I mean, anything other than that, I don't have anything else to say. I think it's an abuse of progress versus what's right for nature and Canada. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. Is there anyone else wishing? Oh, yes. If you would state your name, please.
Jason Nottage. I've lived here my whole life. Most of you probably have no idea who I am though. Like a lot of residents here, I've camped on Center Lake countless times. Anyone that's ever gone by on a weekend knows how busy the lake is. People come from everywhere. I've talked to people when I've been in Guelph, I've been in Northern Ontario. They know where Center Lake is. And again, as one fellow stated earlier, that opening presentation showed Center Lake. That's what it should always look like for future generations. I've got a daughter, she's 3 right now. I'm just waiting for her to be big enough to take out there camping. Sorry, I didn't prepare anything here. The representative this morning showed that they were protecting 2 campsites where you wouldn't be able to see these cottages or condominiums. As one fellow stated earlier, he's camped Center Lake. He knows as well as I do, and anyone else that's been out there, there's at least a dozen campsites out there. Like, even this past summer, I was camping out there. A local summer camp, I think it's Camp Kanakwa, they use it all summer long to take kids from the city out there camping, to explore nature and see what it's really like. You put this development up, all those kids are losing out on it too. The people that come up here camping, they go to the Cardiff store to get their gas, get their groceries, get their alcohol. But a lot of cottagers, especially seasonal, they're not going to be spending the money here. They're going to be bringing their stuff. So the ones that are coming up camping, the ones that are coming up for the day use, they go to the shops, they go to the restaurants, they go to the gas stations. And to destroy this lake for that, like, and again, as the one guy said, he's seen black bear there. I've seen black bear, I've seen moose, I've seen deer, landings, turtles. Like, there's everything there. And somebody suggested about putting up a fence to keep these cottages from encroaching on the crown. What happens to the deer and that need to get to a lake for the water and all the other animals? They want to redo the boat launch. Well, that's just going to mean bigger boats, more pollution, more disturbance, more erosion to the shoreline. I guess that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Nottage. I'm just asking once more, is there anyone else that wishes to speak to the applications? Seeing none. Council, do you have any questions at this time?
Seeing none.
Thank you. At this time, we will move into closing remarks. We will ask the applicant's representative if they wish to address any of the questions that were brought up in your closing remarks today.
Hello again, Carmen Jandy from Arcadis. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the residents. We do hear your concerns. Our intent is to take all of your concerns back for the discussion of the application. I hear the majority of the concerns relates to the disposition of the crown lands. That application is not a part of this. And I just wanted to clarify that the zoning and official plan amendment applications relate only to the lands that are owned by my client. The Crown lands are not all part of this application at all. Proposals to try to delineate Crown lands.
Excuse me, sorry, Carmen. We're
Sorry,
just having a
yeah.
really hard time hearing you. I don't know if Riti, because you are clear, if there's some way of improving the sound, because it's very muffled.
I apologize for that. If I move closer to my laptop, can you hear me better?
That
If I can
does
increase
sound better, yes.
Okay, why don't I try to increase my voice? And I apologize for that. It's technical issues with my computer mic. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you to all the residents that have come out and all the cottagers that have come out and provided comments. We will be taking these comments back for consideration to our client. I hear what the biggest concerns are is the disposition of the Crown lands. Again, those lands are not a part of this application. The official plan and zoning amendment applications just relate to the lands that are owned by our client. With respect to the proposed condominium corporation, that application hasn't been submitted yet. It is intended that the condominium corporation will be also policing the area through the condominium documentations. And part of that corporation is also, self-policing as well, because they will be able to include in their condominium documents any kind of warning clauses or any kind of restrictions for tree removal on the lots. So it is considered, it is intended to be more of like a self-sufficient community. They're paying for their own roads. They're providing public access to a privately owned parcel of land so that the entire community is going to be enjoying that. And more of those details can come out in further application processes. I just wanted to clarify to the residents that the application at hand today for zoning and for official plan amendment and zoning are just the first step. It's like kind of like an onion, and this is the first skin. This is for land use permissions. And then the municipality and through other applications is going to be able to require and request more detailed reports. That's going to address, I believe, the majority of the questions related to environmental and et cetera. So this is just really the first step towards it. And I just want to again thank you everyone for coming out and letting us take notes on, and we've taken all the notes for your comments and we'll be taking it back. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you to both of you for being in attendance today. At this time, I will ask the municipality's planner, Chris Jones, if you have any closing remarks or to address the earlier question regarding EP designation.
Thanks, Madam Clerk. And yeah, I want to echo my appreciation for everybody that took the time to attend the meeting this morning and compose written submissions on these applications. Just again, I've been making notes as we've been going along, and I've just highlighted a couple items that I'll try to provide some comment or a response to. Okay, so the issue with Auger or Auger Lake and the tailings issue. So that in our official plan, we actually, I believe it's Schedule D and Schedule C or D, and it actually identifies what we call abandoned mine sites, AMAS sites, and that there's many of them, of course, because of the historic mining activity in the amalgamated municipality, but that area doesn't show up. So what we can do just as a response to that issue is we will reach out to I believe it's Ministry of Northern Development Mines. They're the ones that keep a database on abandoned mine sites and that type of thing, and we'll reach out and see what their see if they have any comments or insight for us on that. Mr. Morrison, he was just looking for clarification on how many buildings are proposed. So again, the plan sort of as revised, or the current version of the plan involves 33 individual building lots. So that equals obviously at a minimum 33 single detached dwellings. Tracy Pastic. So you had a question. You were looking for environmental studies. So my suggestion is if you can reach out to a staff member, I believe you were in person. If you can reach out to a staff member, I believe they were posted and made available. Anyway, anything that you weren't able to find, we can certainly accommodate. If you want to arrange to come in and look at hard copies, whether it's at the municipal office or at the County of Haliburton, we can make sure you have access to those reports. The comment about buildings 10 meters high, that's actually a standard minimum height requirement under the Highlands East zoning bylaw, really under all zones. It's really intended to accommodate up to a 2-story detached dwelling. Oh, and then Miss Fitzpatrick. Okay, so it's the lake. She conveyed the understanding the lake or the lands are environmentally protected. So I'm not sure what basis that is on. Again, from a planning perspective, we look to the official plan and zoning bylaw, which certainly this is a very large property, and there are portions of it which are designated and zoned environmental protection to recognize existing wetlands and things that at the time we prepared our planning documents, that information was provided to us by the county and the MNR. But the balance of the property is as I illustrated on my initial slide, is the shoreline area is designated shoreline, which in our official plan you can see the corresponding permitted uses and policies applicable to the shoreline designation, and then the rest of the property is designated rural. That's my just sort of quick overview of some of the comments and questions. Again, back to you, Mr. Mayor, if there's anything further you have require of me or the applicant's planner, let us know.
Thank you, Chris. So just a note, if you wish to be notified of council's decision regarding any of the applications discussed today, please ensure you submit your request to myself, the clerk. Also, if you have not signed the sign-in form, please do so prior to leaving today, so your name will be on the record. And at this time, I will turn it over to Mayor and Councillor Lewis, I believe.
Councillor Lewis, go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to acknowledge all council did get the unredacted petition opposing the development. 141 signatures. We see the names, signatures, and where they come from, and it comes from all over the municipality from one end to the other. So I just want to acknowledge that and thank everybody for coming. And I also have numerous amounts of emails that come in. I've heard people's testimonies of how they do camp, and generations have been out there. So we do hear what you're saying.
Thanks, Angela. And I echo that as well. And I would like to certainly thank everyone for coming, being part of this today. Your comments and concerns will certainly be brought forward and listened to. If there's nothing further, our confirmation bylaw.
That bylaw number 2025-68 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting held on October 7th, 2025 be enacted, approved, and signed with the corporate seal attached.
If someone move. Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Adjournment.
That council adjourn the October 7th, 2025 special meeting at 11:21 a.m. and to meet again on October 14th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. for the regular meeting of council.
If someone move, Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you.